Hello and welcome to Tech Support. My name is Lynsey Lorraine and I will be showing you how to do a lower third After Effects in Adobe After Effects. A lower third is text that is generally accompanied with a complementary background graphic and is positioned on the lower third of the viewable area.
Okay, so I am using the CS6 on a Mac in Adobe After Effects for this video tutorial. Alright, let's get started. So first we're going to go to Composition and select New Composition. And you can name it whatever you'd like. I'm going to name mine Lorraine because that's my last name. Alright, so now that we've created a composition, we need a background right here. And you're going to need a video because that's what your lower third will be describing. To do that, we're going to click on File, Import, File, and then it's going to take you to wherever, and you can choose wherever you want your video to come from. Mine happens to be on the desktop, so I can double click it. And now that it's here, it appears, I'm going to drag it to the composition screen. So now that we have our video, we're going to add a layer to it, which is where we're going to create our lower third. So we're going to go Layer, New Layer, Solid, and I'm going to name it Lower Third because this is where we're making our lower third. Alright, now we're going to go to over here on the right where it's Effects and Presets. And this is going to make cool animation techniques. So I'm going to do Fractal Noise, click on it, and then drag it to the left into the screen. Alright, so now I'm going to select lower thirds over here, and then this arrow right here, I'm going to drop it down, and again, do the same thing for transform, drop it down. I'm going to transform this and stretch it out. So I'm going to click on Scale on the stopwatch. It adds a keyframe, and I want to deselect the constraint proportions because if I don't select this, then it will not allow me to animate this graphic. So I deselect this, and right here we have our x-axis, and then here we have our y-axis. The x goes left to right, and the y goes up and down. So you can stretch this out however you like. Now in order to animate the texture from the beginning to the end of the video, I'm going to go to the Effects, drop down, select Fractal Noise, and then go to Evolution Options. I'm going to add, make sure your timekeeper right here is at the very beginning, and I'm going to select Evolution, adding a keyframe right here. You see this yellow diamond that appears, and I'm going to set the very first one to about -3 or so. And then we're going to drag the time marker all the way to the end of the video to about 10 seconds, and then add a keyframe by doing this. You click the diamond, and then I'm going to move it to about 1. So over the course of the video, you'll see the lower third will animate. Alright, so if you don't like this color, you can go over here where we did the fractal noise and do tritone. And select it just like we did fractal noise and drag it back in. Since my video takes place at UW, I'm going to do like a purple scheme. You can do whatever you'd like, whatever you feel matches your video the best, and I'll just maybe brighten it up like that. Okay, so now since it takes up the whole screen, we obviously have to make it a little smaller. So to do that, we're going to go to the rectangle tool up here, and we're just going to make it as big or small, thin, big as you'd like. I'm going to have mine about this size, but in order to move it down here, because the bottom third, I have to click on the selection tool and move it down. I'm going to have mine flush against the left side and have it about this size. What's cool and what you can mess around with is you can invert it, you can make it all different cool shapes from all the different points, but I'm just going to keep mine a solid. Okay, so now what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to add text that's describing the video. So to do that, we're going to go to this T up here, select it, and make it as big as the lower third effect, and you can type whatever you want. Since this takes place at the University of Washington, I'm going to do University of Washington, Seattle. Alright, so if you highlight it, and again go to the right over here, you can change the font, you can change the color. I'm just going to do it white, and again you click the selection tool to move it down to where you'd like. Okay, animate it. To do that, we're going to go to our lower third, transform, and we're going to do this by changing the opacity. So make sure your video is at the very beginning at 0, 0. And since we don't want it to be showing at the very beginning, we're going to make our opacity 0. We're going to add a keyframe. It's added, yellow. The yellow diamond's right there. We're going to change it by dragging it to the left. And now I'm going to do another one at about, say, 2 seconds. And we're going to add a keyframe by selecting this over here. And we're going to change the opacity to say around 70-ish, 75%. Now after every keyframe that you add, you should go keyframe assistant, easy ease. This allows the animation to appear smooth and not clunky. Alright, so we have it gradually appearing. You can see at the very beginning there's nothing there, and then by the 2 second mark it's starting to appear, and then it's at 76%. So a little bit later I'm going to make it, add a keyframe, and create it so it's 100%. Alright, however, since it has appeared, we now have to make it exit. But first we can watch it. So it starts at 0, and then it's gradually appearing, and then it's 100% there. Now we have to make it exit, which is pretty similar, except you're just doing it the opposite way. Instead of increasing the opacity, you're decreasing the opacity. So we're going to drag our time marker to about 9 seconds or so, add a keyframe, and make our opacity to, say, 35. So it's gradually disappearing. 30, 36 or so. Okay. And then a little bit after that, we're going to add another keyframe and make it absolutely 0. Alright, so you can see from the very beginning, it starts off as nothing, gradually appearing, fully appeared, and it stays like this for the video until about the 9 second mark. And then you can see it start to fade to nothing. Alright, so there we have it. Now we have to do that for the text. So to do that, we're again going to do just like we did with the lower third. Make sure time mark's at the very beginning. Select the text box right over here. Do the drop down arrow by the red box. This here. Transform. And again, opacity. We're going to select it. Just added a keyframe, the yellow diamond. And we're going to make it 0 because just like the text box, we don't want font to be there when the lower third effect isn't there and at the beginning of the video. Okay, so we've made the opacity to 0. So around the 2 second mark, around here, we can gradually start to increase our opacity. I'm going to increase mine to about 60%. Alright, the lower third is fully there. We can change the opacity, adding a keyframe to 100%. So now we have the lower third and the font both there at 100% opacity. So if we watch it, you see they both start to gradually appear, and now they're at full opacity. Alright, again, now we have to make it exit just like we did with the lower third. So we're going to go to about the 9 second mark, a little bit before the end. And we're going to do just like we did with the other one. Add a keyframe. And make the opacity, you can just decrease the opacity a little to say 25-30%. Now we're going to do it again right before when the text box leaves entirely. We're going to change the opacity all the way to 0. So you can still see the remnants of the text box, but there's no text anymore. You can watch from the beginning. You can see it appearing, and now it's starting to dissipate, and now it's gone. All right, well, there you have it. That's how you create a lower third.
I'm Lynsey, and this has been Tech Support. Thanks for watching.